Well, hi there, everybody. You're traveling with Jack and my hot heavenly wife, Pam. And I come to you today from a rather beautiful place. Some might say it looks like the surface of the moon, but it's not. It's what we call the South Lower Table Rock area. And I've been hiking now for about 2.5 miles and made it to the top of the Table Rock, probably 1,000 feet or so above the beautiful Rogue Valley. Now, today, not exactly that beautiful because we've still got smoke in our skies from the fires that are burning all around us. But we're not here to talk about the scenery or the smoke or the fact that some may say this looks like the surface of the moon. But rather, we're here to talk about our grief journey and getting through those really, really hard days. And I want to reflect on one of my really, really hard days that just happened. It was yesterday. And it was several things that started occurring that just made the day suck the big one. Now don't worry, we'll have a good ending to our story. We always do. But as we're learning on this grief journey, we have to go through the bad to get to the good. And sometimes there's more bad than good. And that was the point to this day. It was one of those days I thought, oh my gosh, I'm not sure I can take much more. Well, first of all, most of you will know what the day was. You'll look at the calendar. Whatever your political views are, we get the news that our president has tested positive for COVID-19. Okay, that's kind of the first little shock wave. And of course, the media just goes bananas. The world is coming to an end. Then hours later, they break in again. More breaking news. The president's being shipped off to the Walter Reed Army Hospital for observation and care for COVID-19. Oh my gosh, the end is now here. Then they show him walking out of the White House, getting on the helicopter and going over. And they go, well, he's at least able to still walk. So we get that news. And I work in a local television station. You guys know that, and I can't get away from it. It's on every doggone screen in the building. I'm like, oh, I can't take this. And if you just read the headlines, you're pretty sure this is it. This is the end of mankind. Well, we get through that. I'm able to tune it out and start working on my weather for a bit. And then I get the news that Bob Gibson has died. Now, a lot of you watching this are going to say, who the heck is Bob Gibson? Well, he was my childhood favorite, all-time favorite baseball player. He was a pitcher for the St. Louis Cardinals, and I grew up loving the Cardinals. And I just thought Bob Gibson was the greatest ever, and he really was. Check the stats. He was an unbelievable pitcher, held many records. And so when I played Little League Baseball, I requested his number 45. I would write his number 45 in the bill of my cap. With my baseballs, I would write number 45 on them. I wrote number 45 on my cleats. You get the idea. I was into the Cardinals and Bob Gibson. Well, then later in life, as a senior in high school, I had already started working in media a little bit, and I had press credentials from the Nashville Tennessean newspaper because I covered some high school sports as a stringer for them. Well, I found out with those credentials, I could also go to Major League Sports. So I went to St. Louis. Took a buddy of mine, Big Mike Malinowski, big, tall, Polish guy, good friend. So we went up to cover the Cardinals. And I said, you know what, I'm taking a cassette tape recorder and I'm going to interview Lou Brock and Bob Gibson. And I'll give that to some of the radio stations. Sound like a good plan. So we go up there. And at the end of the game, we get to go down into the clubhouse. Oh my gosh. This is like living in a dream for this kid from Paris, Tennessee, now in the clubhouse of the St. Louis Cardinals. Standing around, all the major media players are there, and they're asking their questions and such, and of course I'm scared to death. We stand around there for probably an hour. Most of the media has now left. Most of the players have left, and my buddy Mike goes, hey, you got to talk to somebody. I said, I'm scared, I can't do it. He goes, yes, you can. And we look over, and who is sitting side by side? Lou Brock and Bob Gibson. You can't make this stuff up. And I'm standing there just staring at him. And Mike's kind of pushing me in the back. Come on, go talk to him. And they can tell, they can see me over there looking at him. And Lou Brock then perks up. He goes, "Hey, are you waiting on somebody?" And I went, "No, not really." He goes, "Are you wanting to talk to somebody?" I went, "Oh, you're probably busy." He goes, "No, come on over here." He could not have been nicer. Now, Gibson, he was kind of a crusty guy, if you've ever read his history, but he's there with him. And Lou goes, "Come on, we'll talk to the kid, won't we?" Well, it ended up being a great moment in my life. And so I got to interview my childhood idols. So I reflect back on that to this night when I then learned that Bob Gibson has died. Well, then that triggered another memory. My beautiful, sweet wife, Pam, for my birthday, sometime in the 1990s, somehow located a Bob Gibson Hall of Fame plaque. Now, it was a replica, but it was still a cool piece. And she got that and surprised me for my birthday with that plaque. Well, I got to thinking about that plaque, who my son now has it. He's a Cardinal fan as well, and I gave it to him to keep. And you would have thought it was like she had died all over again. I just started crying like a baby. All I could think about was that beautiful plaque that she got me. And she was so happy to give it to me. And I know she put so much thought and effort into that. And it just reminded me how much I missed her. And just how wonderful she was. And how I wish I don't know. You know, we just wish for them to be back here with us. But I know she's better. I get it, guys. She's in heaven. We'll be reunited, okay? So again, that's part 2 of my day of bad news. Well, then I'm getting ready for our 7 o'clock show, which is kind of a talk show format with my sweet co-anchor, Christina. And then it hits me. Strike 3. This is Christina's last night with us. She's moving away to Nashville to go into a different line of work and start a new career. Christina has been the person that I have leaned on most since Pam passed away. Her and her boyfriend, Thomas, got to know us as a couple when we really weren't getting out much to see a lot of people because Pam was just, the cancer was in her bones. She wasn't getting around a lot, but we did some things with Christina and Thomas. We even went up to the lake a couple of times. We'd help Pam get situated. And again, those of you who've ever seen pictures of my wife, I mean, she was a picture of health her whole life. Beautiful, beautiful woman. And then there she was in those final few months broken down. But Christina and Thomas, they would do things with us. And it meant so much. And so when Pam passed, and when I was at work, there were days that I would be in my office and I would just start crying. And Christina would come in and she would go, "You need a hug, don't you?" I'd go, "Yes, please." And she would stand there and she would hold me and hug me. And then there were days that I was just absolutely mean. You know those days where you're just angry about your loss. You're just awful. And she would again, with a bright smile, offer me a hug and make it a little better. So it then dawned on me, oh my gosh, in one day, the president ends up in the hospital, my childhood idol baseball player dies, the memories of Pam and the plaque, and now my one true friend at work is leaving and moving 2,000 miles away. Oddly enough, she's going to go live probably within 25 miles of my son. Wow, maybe I should think about moving there. So it was just hitting me really hard. And I was pretty down. And then I started thinking about something. Now we get to the good part, or at least a little better. I thought about, it was about 1.5 years ago when Pam and I went to visit some friends in Bend, Oregon. And on Sunday, we visited the church that we attended there. And the pastor, a really cool guy, Trevor, asked if I would get up and just talk to the church a little bit. Because we lived there about 3 or 4 years, and we had deep-rooted connections and friends there as opposed to here, where, as I've told you before, she got ill weeks after we moved here, so we didn't have that. So feel really close to the people there in that congregation. So I said, sure, I'll get up and talk. And so I got up in front of the congregation, And I could see Pam sitting over there. And they had also mentioned this other gentleman who was even younger than Pam who had passed from brain cancer. And I could see his family, and they were staring at me. So I got up there, and that's when I started talking a little bit about, yeah, we received some devastating news about Pam. We're doing the best we can. We're going to keep trying hard. And then it was kind of like a warm blanket or a big pair of arms just wrapped themselves around me. And it came to me. And this is what I said. I said, you know, as terrible as the news is, and we kind of have a good idea of where we think this is headed. And I asked, why us? Why me, God? Why now? And then as I looked out over the crowd, I thought, why not me? Why not us? Because the one guarantee that we have in this life is that we're not getting out of it alive. None of us are going to be able to escape pain and suffering. It's just part of the deal here. So it was with those words when I said, why not me? Why not Pam? Why not us? That I knew you got to keep moving. If you're like me, I have a pretty deep faith, and I believe that after this life that I'll go to heaven and I'll see Christ. Don't know how you believe, and I'm not here to do conversions or anything like that, but I hope you have a belief in something. That's my belief. The point being, after my terrible day of this domino effect of bad news after bad news after bad news, I then got back to that line of, why not me? And then I realized, God willing, there'll be a tomorrow. And so it's up to me then to make that tomorrow better. So we do get a second chance in some respects. So that's about it. Hopefully that helped you a little bit, because we are going to have those bad days. And you know what? This bad day that I had, I know it's not the last one. As long as I'm here, there's going to be some more. But hopefully there'll be some good days. So again, if you get something out of this, be sure and share it. Ask people to subscribe to our channel. Also, I want to highly encourage you to visit our podcast as well. It's on all the major apps out there like Apple, Google, Spotify. It's just called The Jack Church Show, and I've actually got some different messages on there, and I've also transferred some of our YouTube messages to it as well. And I really appreciate your support. Okay, guys? So again, as we always say, make it a great day, and I really, really mean it. Make it a better tomorrow.